What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another video of Tristiano stuff. Today, what we're going to be doing is analyze a few things, both gerrymandering and a hypothetical American multi-partisan system. So let's get into it. Let me set the camera up here. I have a paper that I'm going to be using for my work, and we're going to be doing some drawing essentially. So I watched a video about a hypothetical multi-partisan system in the United States, and it proposed 5 parties, okay? Those 5 parties, and we're going to draw them here, and there's going to be a key. You have your box, and also known as the nationalists. Okay, we're going to go with a circle, open circle. Actually, no. Change that. We're going closed circle for this party. It's the conservatives. So we'll give them color associations too, I guess. Then you have the kind of this weird angle. Think of it as like a diagonally facing upwards arrow. I don't know if y'all have an upwards facing arrow. I don't even know if y'all can see this, but neat point. This is a cella. Then you have the open circle, the labor. Sorry, British people, but no you this time. And then you're going to have the triangle. These are the greens. Okay, so this does kind of go from right to left. And then I said we'll color code it. So we have our Crayola colored pencils here. We'll go nationalist, purple. So I think we can just do like, we'll underline the names. How about that? Those are your nationalists. We'll go conservatives, red. You know what? Yeah, we're going to stick with that. This is American colors, of course. So once again, sorry, Brits. We'll go, yellow's not a very visible color, so we'll go orange for Acela. Otherwise, I would go yellow. We'll go with blue for labor. And then we'll go green for greens, unsurprisingly, right? So there's our color coding. And I don't know how visible this is. I'm assuming it's not great, but that's okay. So we have our color coding. On the map, I will draw each individual, air quotes individual, as the shape, but I'll color in the district as the color. So we're going to try and imagine a city, or just a state in general, and we're doing the redistricting process that America has. So we're actually going to divide this in 2. The key's going to remain the same, so I won't redraw it. But on the other end, we're going to just change the conservatives. It would be Republicans versus Democrats. So, but, you know, we have this here. While I start, we're going to kind of talk about what each party is kind of like. Figures to imagine from each party, etc. And I'll start drawing like a coastline, maybe. So, the nationalists, they're kind of like your Donald Trump. They you know, staunchly anti-immigrant, opposed to free trade because they want fair trade deals for the United States. They a little less emphasis on free market capitalism, although they support it, etc., etc. Your conservatives, a notable figure, this from an echelon. These parties are from an echelon poll. This, I guess, study created them, but they also described them. They described the conservatives as somebody being led by Mike Pence. This is a 2021 poll, if I'm not mistaken. So Mike Pence was more relevant at the time. He's not very relevant now, I would say. So you have that. What else is there? I mean, that's really all I can think of. Oh, Acela, sorry, is kind of like your Mike Bloomberg. So you're a little more free market capitalists, supporting sensible regulations, free trade, pretty socially liberal. Labor is Joe Biden, so you're kind of working class Democrat, I guess. And then you have the Greens, who are very pro-environment, also pretty socially liberal, and probably the furthest economically left-wing. Those are your party breakdowns. So what we're seeing here, we'll put the city kind of here at what I was envisioning as like a mouth of a river. In fact, we'll also draw in that river, and it's going to be a district boundary, just because districts sometimes are required to follow natural boundaries, especially when they dictate, the boundaries of cities and whatnot. That's an important thing to do. And we'll have most of the city on this left bank. So who's typically voting for who, right? Acela, you're going to have your generally upper middle class, urban liberal population. So you'd find these people probably closer to the core, although some suburbs. Labor is kind of more like your suburb party, and Greens kind of compete with both of those in both regions. Your conservatives, you'll find those obviously in rural areas, but also the few urban conservatives tend to be conservative party, and then the nationalists are poorer suburbs, and then also your rural areas. So let's get to it. I think I'm going to aim for 10 districts. Each district will have 10 people, so that's 100 people. And we're going to try to have about 20, 20, 20, 20, and 20. I think that's 100 people that I just listed in 20s. But we'll start with Acela here. I think that we'll say this island is urban. So we have Acela, we'll have labor. Acela, green, Acela, conservative, Acela, labor. It's 4 Acela, 2 labor. It's 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we need 2 more. I think we'll do a green and a labor. Green and labor. Kind of make this more clear cut. Okay, so here's that district. And we'll draw like that. Okay, so this is going to Acela. We'll take our orange and we'll color it. And we're going to make it kind of faint, just so that it doesn't overpower the pencil drawings that I have here, the colored pencil, right? But it's going to be drawn. Just because I'm drawing lights means I'm going to be there. So there's an Acela district. So gerrymandering. While I kind of work, let's talk about gerrymandering. So gerrymandering, I'm sure many of you know, is a process that parties will use to make congressional districts largely favor their own party, as opposed to being fair and neutral, practically. This is a controversial method. There's been some attempts to limit it, although not super effective ones, I'll say. But attempts nonetheless. So, sorry, I kind of got lost track of what I was saying there. But, you know, the, I guess, hold on, I'm sorry. Right, so gerrymandering, controversial as it, overtly benefits one party specifically and attempts to nullify the votes of other people in other parties, rather. At least something along those lines is what gerrymandering is. And it's pretty bad. I think that's, quite obvious or simple to understand that. But it's also very common. And in my AP government class, we've been discussing solutions to gerrymandering, like what can you really do to help prevent gerrymandering? I've done a lot of research on this. It was actually my project for AP research. I was over gerrymandering. And there's a bunch of solutions. I kind of have a silly one, and people point out issues with it that, I don't completely disagree with, but they have other merits too. My solution, which, I don't even know that I would say it's the best now, but my solution is my solution is having state legislatures, or anybody really, make the actual map, and then having what am I saying? I just forgot how to speak. I'm sorry. Having that proposal go to a popular vote in the state. And people were like, well, wouldn't people just vote along partisan lines? If it benefits their party, they're going to vote for it. That's an assumption, but a lot of people who are partisan would still not support gerrymandering. That's usually the politicians who get that crony sense to them and decide to support gerrymandering. Which, not really surprising. And so I guess the questions, what other concerns are there? Well, or I guess let's keep talking about that, right? So people think that's a concern. Fair enough, I suppose, because yeah, you're not wrong. Very easily people could partisanly vote, but the only ones that actually care to vote on something like that are probably ones who oppose gerrymandering and would be able to catch the issue there. Another solution would be, and I think this is great, my Gov teacher proposed it, would be to have the total number of seats as equally representative as possible. In other words, what I'm doing here, trying to get 20-20-20, for each party would end up having 2 seats. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the Greens and Acela will likely both end up with 1, and we'll see how it goes from there. But they each have 2 seats because they each got 20% of the vote. 2 seats is 20% of the seats. In a 2-party system, say it's 50-50, they each get 5 seats. And it'd be legally mandated that, based on whatever algorithm, whatever data you put in, it's probably going to give you that result. Was kind of the proposal. And so this, I guess, suggestion I just keep going silent. I don't know why I'm not locked in, but or it's because I'm so locked in to the districts that I'm not locked into chatting about what's happening, I guess, right? So I'll get back to it. This is probably very good just because, it basically forces you to keep proportional with your districting. And at that point, there's no reason to racially gerrymander. There's no point to what I call a vernacular gerrymander. Basically, when you split areas with large special interest groups or broad similarities, and you split those populations. Say, for example, out here on our map, there's a lot of farmers, and right here there's a lot of, lawyers, okay? But there's more lawyers here than there are farmers here. So we drew all the lawyers in here, say it's 5. Then we drew like 1 connecting lawyer, right? So, yep. And then we took 4 of the farmers here, and boom. Those farmers are just disenfranchised. But there's 4 farmers here, and there's 3 here. So we take these 4 farmers, we take these 3 farmers, we take 3 other people in the area, and that's a lot more representative. And so that's kind of the concept behind vernacular gerrymandering, which I coined in my research paper. I wouldn't be too surprised if somebody had created it as well, but I did as well. So, but vernacular gerrymandering, interesting concept to analyze there. But there'd be no point in doing these things if you were forced to be fair partisanly, from a partisan perspective, right? And so, I guess it just nullifies the sake of gerrymandering. An analysis, I guess, a further analysis of this kind of suggests, I'm sorry, I really am out of it. I'm really out of it. But, three, 7. Okay, that's another green district. hope this is illustrating something to you, though. A lot of these districts are pretty competitive. Like this one is only a sell plus 10%. You know, this one is it's actually kind of solid for the greens there, I think. Here the greens also got 4, but I mean, you know, oftentimes you see these other parties could switch their votes. So yeah, technically the only close one that we have technically is that is sell plus 10, but you know, because it's 1 seat away from being a toss-up, right? But I mean, still, it's, you know, there could be switches here. This is also kind of arbitrary. No, like, correct, nothing necessarily an algorithm that I'm working from. I'm just kind of doing it. And it makes sense if you really think about it. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe you don't know. Who knows? But we're going to keep going. So we're going to have a bit of a city district here that quickly fades into into rural, and I think that it's going to be labor, just because it's going to have a bit of a labor core on this riverbank. Okay, we'll have one kind of isolated labor, a conservative, another conservative, a nationalist. So let's see, it's 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't count either. Wow, I'm really out of it today. That's 9. Okay, Labor's got 4, so we'll give the Nationalists another one, and we'll kind of throw it out here, and then we'll draw something like that. I think that's good. Okay, and then that's a labor district. Right, so gerrymandering, that's one of the greater solutions. There's other solutions, of course. If you have anything interesting to pitch in the comments of this video, go ahead and do it. And, you know, hopefully we can have a nice dialogue. Me and also anybody else that would like to discuss that topic. You know, I'm not gonna limit you. But I think that, you know, it's kind of an important topic to discuss because, you know, somebody asked me, another AP Gov thing, there's a project you do in AP Gov where you have to basically decide like a public policy issue that you want to cover, you and your group. It's a group project. And I wanted to do like elections and voting reform, basically. And everybody thought that was weird. A lot of people thought that was weird. And one of my friends, she asked me, why do I want that? And I was like, I think it's important to any democracy to know how it works, why it works that way, and to make it work better. Basically what I said. That wasn't verbatim what I said, but, you know, the sentiment was the same. And she was like, you know, that's actually very insightful. And so that's why we picked that topic. But gerrymandering falls into that. And it's, you know, probably one of the greater flaws in our democracy. We talked about term limits at the beginning of class, and we said, and my teacher was like, I don't think that's the solution. The solution is gerrymandering. And once you have gerrymandering fixed, term limits are a lot less necessary, which I will agree with. But what's interesting, especially, is that okay, that's fine. We're kind of coming close to our labor limit. Which, I mean, I'm not totally surprised about. It's 4, 4, 2, 2, 2. So it's 8, 14. We're at 17, I think. It's the exact number. That's 18. We're not going to push it beyond 18, so we'll just have to kind of randomly pack in these sorts of dudes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we need another one. We'll just stick in a conservative. This is another one of those 10 districts. 10 point off. 1 seat or 1 person off districts. But we have our first nationalist district. I also think another nice name would be the populist for them, although, you know, populist does also refer to, there's left-wing populism and there's right-wing populism. This is a right-wing populist party, of course, but I think it would still be a fitting name just because we associate populism mainly with the right in the United States, with Donald Trump, like, is a particular individual that we associate it with, you know, and I think that, you know, just because of that, it's a fitting name to use. Anyways, continuing. So gerrymandering is very important to get rid of. Another thing that's interesting, though, and I would also argue important, is if my brain would work, oh my goodness, I'm just really not connected today. Oh yes, multi-party system. I guess we can move on from gerrymandering now to multi-party system. Why would that be bad, good, whatever? And the answer is, I mean, it's kind of clear. There are 2 parties that really have a chance, okay? In that system, and this is a topic my father and I like to discuss a lot. My father, who is, you know, staunchly fits into a party, you know, he does. But he always asks the question, what if there were more? It's a good question, I think. And so I like that he asks it, but, you know, the answer sometimes can be hard to provide. Like, what if there were more? Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that our system currently in the United States is built for 2 parties. In the way that they're so entrenched, you know, adds to that effect. Because you could say the same thing about the United Kingdom. You know, anytime you have first past the post, it kind of looks that way. But when you have other systems, you know, you can make it to where it's less of an issue. And we tend not to be able to do that to great effect, I think, in the United States. Okay. But, you know, I think that having a multi-party system would just allow for greater representation, which we just currently don't really have. In the echelon study, it said that 26% of people would fall into the nationalists in 2021, 26% into labor. I remember that all the left-wing parties contributed to a total of, it was 45, and this was 43. Well, so that's 43, that's 17. I don't remember the breakdown for the rest of them. Maybe 37. I feel like it was like 10 and 9. If you want, we can also do one that represents these numbers here. This is from that echelon study. We'll even cite our sources. 2021 echelon study. Okay. So, you know, based on these numbers, we should be doing things a little differently than we are. That's okay. We don't need to worry about that all too much. At least I'm not worried about it all too much. But I guess let's look at that quickly. How would we break the parties up? Like, who would get what seats? It's kind of difficult to, I guess, divvy up, I think. But I feel... No, it's not. Just one seat. 1, 1, 2. So that's 4, 3, 3. Pretty easy. That's how it should be. Of course, not everything is representative, and political geography is a factor. Like, there's a very famous gerrymandering quote about the state of Massachusetts. It says, what was it? Oh, there are more ways to redraw Massachusetts congressional map, for the federal house, that is, than there are particles in the galaxy, or atoms in the galaxy, or something like that, right? And none of them result in the Republicans winning any seats. Which is like, some are like, wow, that's savage. The reality is that the Republicans just cannot win, essentially. Nothing against the Republicans, but that's just the reality for them. But yeah, no, here we are. We see... I want to see what counts I currently have. So Acela has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've overdone Acela's count by 1. They have 2 seats. And that's political geography, because they're a little more concentrated in wealthy areas of cities. Labor, we have 3 seats remaining, right? Or is it 2? It's 2 seats that we can still dole out. And I think we're going to dole out one over here. We'll dole out a green seat here. I think we've also definitely already reached capacity on greens for... what's that? 4, 9, right there, 10, 11, 12. So we just went 3 over right now. They have 2 seats as well. So, I mean, it's something. And you can definitely tell that myself personally kind of overpacked them in this urban area. That's an issue. You know, if we're talking about having this be empirical, we're going to continue regardless. I think that this would make sense as a conservative district. So we're going to, you know, make it one. Kind of suburban area, somewhat suburban. Getting into rural. I'm really debating whether or not I should let those numbers climb or not. I think I'm not going to. I'm going to keep them fixed now. You know, helpful to understand that when we're going back and reviewing this, or doing a project like this again, is these numbers, trying to stick to them, or not. You know, you go with the 20 rule or you don't. I think that we're just going to stick with the 20 rule, or not stick with the 20 rule, but try and correct it after the fact here. But yeah. I'm sorry, my brain is fog. But it would really be just kind of that. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need another. And I guess that means that we're going to have to dole out that. So we're going to be using that 20 rule. say that the river flows like that. Okay. That's not going to be the district, though. That's our district. And it's red. We have our first conservative district so far. Anyways, back to the topic of multipartisanship. Having that option as a voter, could be very important, and it also would perhaps, change the extreme and sometimes very problematic partisanship in the United States. Our political culture has gone down a dangerous path, I think, a concerning path. Stuff like J6 happens when, two parties hate each other so much, or other things, other problems. I mean, riots when Trump won in 2016. There's just so many things that happens, and it's not good stuff usually. So many things that happen that aren't usually good. But it's just kind of interesting, I guess, to note. I'm going to do this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It would make more sense, actually, for one of these SLs to become nationalist. So we're going to do that. And really, I didn't have to erase because I can just draw the rest of the box, but And so there's a conservative district. We're going to see that river kind of whisks into that other district. And this is kind of an island nation. But, right, so political gerrymandering is bad. And, I think that having multiple parties like this could actually make it easier, one concern. But also a multi-party system would theoretically increase the odds that, any other party gets in at all, because it decreases the real power of any party. It's easier to split, but, it's also easier to break in to the into elected office. Now, what's interesting as well, worth considering, is that, there's a system devised by this British dude. Perhaps somebody else devised it, and the British dude just laid claim to it, as British people tend to do. Although he doesn't know of anybody who's made it up. He says he makes it up, or he made it up. It's called proportional past the post, where basically you have past the post elections with districts, like you do in the United States. But each party would also have a federal list, or not necessarily a federal list, but each party would also run as a federal, I guess, body, or if we're talking in the United States, perhaps at the state level. So the Texas Republican Party, and then you have candidates who are Republicans in each Texas district, right? They would run, and the number of seats, or the overall vote, and you would vote both for a party and for a candidate. So maybe you like the Republicans, but the Democrat in this election is particularly cool. So you could vote for that guy, right? Something, I guess, kind of neat. And then as well. This is another interesting thing. We just drew a massive district here, and we're going to put 10 people in it, whereas in here there's 90, and about the exact same size as 10. About the exact same size. Not the exact same, but it's about. This area is about half that size, and there's 10, and there's 80, right? You know, you take out this district too, then you get 70 in these districts. It just keeps scaling. Take out that district. These kind of 6 particularly dense districts, and there's 40 people in there. Very interesting population as an experiment. And also we can look at who votes for who from where, basically. And you see that rural areas tend to be much more conservative or liberal. We're just going to do an Acela, a green. That's 5. We limited ourselves there, so we'll do one more conservative, a populist, a populist, a populist, and a populist, or a nationalist rather, and then we color it in. Right, but the proportional pass the post system, I don't fully understand it, or at least I don't understand it greatly, even if I understand the concept really. But the way that it works is you have, like I said, the party and candidates in each district. So the party runs in all the districts, the candidates run in one district only. And if a candidate is particularly popular, but not necessarily a party, you can vote for that candidate, and then you can vote for a different party. And at the end, you see what total number of party votes there were. Let's say it's 30%. Or, you know, let's go with these numbers. 26, 26, 9, 10, 17. Okay? Let's say that, you know, nationally, you know, 26% of nationalists, right? So they should get allotted 3 seats. This is actually kind of perfect, because these are the seats they should be allotted. So the most popular nationalist, he's going to get a seat. Then they're probably like, okay, now Labor should get a seat. It's going to be the most popular Labor person. Kind of keeps going until you have all the seats allotted. It's very proportional. I guess, like, error rate, there's some way to measure that. I don't exactly remember how the person who was talking about his system did, but there was a good way, and there was a way that I thought was good that he used. But what's really nice about this idea is that you can find it very easily. The channel is called Proportional Past the Post, which is the name of the system. So it should be easy enough to find if you're really interested. But it's a great system, and I think that it largely makes up for the undemocratic effect that people might fear from the multipartisanship. You know, make gerrymandering easier. At least in the United States, I'm not saying we adopt it, but I'm saying it could be useful in a multi-party system. But I mean, yeah, having those options would be great, even though there's sometimes flaws. Coalitions are not perfect. Europe has to deal with coalitions. But I mean, politicians really should just vote their conscience. They should vote their beliefs, and they should not tie themselves to their party like they tend to in the United States. You're not your party. You are an independent individual, independent of your party. And really, I think that Washington had a point when he said, let's avoid parties and factions and regionalism, you know, sectionalism rather, but, you know, this is what he meant. Let's avoid that. He had a good point. I think that no parties would not be a bad system by any means. Anyways, here's our deal. They each got 2 seats, which is not perfectly accurate to these numbers. And we can actually go through and count how many we had of each type. There's 3 Acela, 4 Acela, 5 Acela, 6 Acela, 7 Acela, 8, 9, 10, 11 Acela, 15 Acela. So Acela, this map kind of favors them. The greens, I'm suspecting the same. There's 1 green, 2 greens, 3 greens. I think that's 4 greens. It's 8 greens, 12 greens, 13 greens, 14 greens, 15 greens, 16 greens, 17 greens. Okay, so they're a little less well off than Acela, but it also talks to, you know, the density of these people. Acela, you know, the most dense, and then probably 3rd or 4th most dense districts are Acela districts. Whereas the greens kind of have a similar deal. It's like 2nd and 5th. So Labor has the 3rd or 4th, and the 7th. No, yes, 7th. The Conservatives have the 8th and 9th, and then the Nationalists have the 6th and 10th, right? You know, just telling you something about the political density. And then you also have a lot of Conservatives that are, their votes are wasted in the urban areas. I mean, total Conservatives who have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, right? 8 of those come in districts that they won. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them come in districts that they lost by 1. And in every other district except 1, it looks like they had 2 people. So they're kind of cooked. It's a lot of wasted votes. Acela was very efficient. You know, more than half their votes weren't wasted. You know, 8 out of 15 were not wasted. So significantly better for the Acela party. But yeah, just interesting analysis. That was very sluggish of me. I apologize for that video content. I will do a follow-up to this so that I can show you a 2-party system. But that follow-up is not for today. I'm exhausted. I need sleep. So, Welteruste, that means good night in Dutch to everybody who's watching. And thank you. I hope you enjoyed, even though it was a pretty poor quality video, I think. But yeah, have a good night, good day, depends where you are and when you're watching this. Hope everything's well. Bye-bye.